Coming to you from the mountains and the plain. The only conservative voices brave enough to push back. This is the Conservative Daily Podcast with Joe Otto.
That's what the Second Amendment was designed to do. If you're going to do something to nullify or take away my rights under the Constitution, come get it.
Max McGuire.
When you look at politicians on the left, they need to convince people that they are victims.
A resistance to the resistance. And now your hosts, Joe Otto and Max McGuire.
And welcome back to another edition of Conservative. My name is Max McGuire.
And this is Joe Otto. And we got this guy next to me.
We got Tig. He's not in the description. Maybe you can add his name next to Joe.
Yeah, add his name down there.
Good. I'm running top secret. You can't see my face.
Yeah, we can see your face.
Oh.
I didn't say it was good to look at. I just said we could see it.
We're going to give it a couple minutes for people to get over here. We're still live streaming.
Okay, so
the hearing just ended.
So I can play my Space Invaders?
You want to play Space Invaders?
I'll play Space
Go
Invaders.
ahead.
You are not playing Space Invaders. Today's kind of a big show. It's kind of a big show.
Well, no, Joe, it's related.
It's what?
You said I could play
It's related.
Space Invaders.
Space Invaders is related.
Oh, it is related. Yes, play Space Invaders.
Yes.
That means he's playing at something. Okay.
We shouldn't laugh because what happened over the weekend was terrible. You guys were both there. We're going to get your take on what you saw, what was going down. But before we do, I have to ask everyone right now, hit the share button. Even if you don't hit the share button, usually hit the share button because we're about to show video and photos that Facebook will undoubtedly label as graphic and reduce our reach. So,
hey, listen, it is definitely going to be graphic.
Yep.
It's definitely going to be graphic.
A patriot was killed in Denver this weekend by someone that the mainstream media is trying to present as a security guard, bodyguard, even though he didn't have the proper license, even though he's really leftist social media presence, which we're going to go through, at an Antifa event. So we're going to be showing you that. We're going to be talking to self-defense law and how it pertains to this situation. But in the process, we're going to have to show a video. It's graphic. So we're going to need you to hit the share button now, because as soon as we show that, Facebook's not going to let anyone share it.
Hey, fix your
Please
mic.
do hit the share button now.
Max, fix your
What's
mic.
wrong with my mic?
I don't know. You're tinny. You sound like you're tinny.
Okay, let me refresh it. Yeah, I'm going off the laptop today.
You're freezing up too.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll start talking about when Max gets reconnected. You back, Max?
Is it better? Better now?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're doing this podcast on my laptop because the desktop was streaming just ended. So Joe and Tig, walk me through what went down. I saw that Tig, you were with a bunch of people, a bunch of patriots going down to protest an Antifa soup rally. Which, if people don't know, Antifa collects cans of soup.
No, that's not what happened.
We weren't going down to the protest. They came down to protest us. I did.
So they organized a soup rally after them.
Yes, they did it within probably about 24 hours after I posted the Patriot muster, and I'm just going to throw it out there right up front. I've been informed by, I'm going to say how they say it, an anonymous source, that actually the president of 9 News was the one who thought of it and organized it and designed the communist soup drive. That's what I'm
just
being told.
it's not. It might not be the president. It might be the boss. So it could be.
Yeah, the boss of I don't.
But it's a higher position, right?
Yeah. So that's so. But again, I did it. They put it out there that they wanted to shut us down and oppress us, quiet us, and the BLM and Antifa feeds. Well, I guess I can't. Can I say Antifa or because idea feeds? Is it an idea, right? So anyways.
Yeah, Antifa's an idea.
Yeah, so the idea feeds started actually coming out on the Reddits and in the Facebook posts because, just like them, I have my little infiltrators as well. So they're immediately right out the gate that we're going to attack them, we're going to shut them down, we're going to press them so they don't have a voice. And they're posting pictures of can launchers. It's kind of like, if you don't know what it is, it's kind of like a potato gun launcher. It can kill you, especially with a soup can coming at you.
Yeah.
They're going to use
they have those attached to AR or
Yep.
wow.
Yep, and that they were going to use the
firearm.
cans. Yeah, they were going to use the cans against us, and that's what the whole point of the soup drive was. And they did. When I was up there speaking, they threw cans. Of course, they throw like little kids, so it only went like 20, 30 feet, and pretty much at the cops. And again, they were the aggressors. They broke down part of the barriers. The cops had to repel them with their pepper balls and stuff like that.
But again, they didn't want any part of us. I mean, when the fence came down, not one of them moved to walk through that fence.
No, they
didn't want any part of us. They didn't.
And then, as we came in obviously a little early. That came with the group of probably about 20 UADF members, United American Defense Force members. And again, we brought them in because of the other side saying they're going to attack us.
Yeah.
So again, UADF is a defense force. We wanted them to protect the civilians that were going to be coming in that wanted to join the Patriot muster. Because again, it wasn't a back to blue rally like the media wants to say. It wasn't a pro-Trump rally like the media wants to say. It was a Patriot muster for patriots to come together and unite and let these communist, socialist, Marxist individuals know that we're done. We're tired. We are going to, we're done. We're tired. And that's what it was. It wasn't a pro anything besides a pro-American, pro-patriot muster. Of course, the left or the media always has to label it something different because they don't like you being patriotic. They think you have to be something else. You have to be pro-Trump. And no, it wasn't. Obviously, majority of the people there were pro-Trump. Majority of the people were pro-police.
Right.
But again, I can't control that. But my thing was a patriot muster. People had socialism sucks because it does suck. Communism sucks. There's nothing patriotic about socialism or communism. Communism has killed over 100 million people. You guys understand it?
Yeah.
Over 100 million people
in
have
100
been
years.
killed because of communism. So go ahead.
So before we get into this, let me put up, Mr. Producer, put up image 2. This is how the Denver police reported this. So it was circulating. Obviously, you guys were there, and Antifa was there. So when a patriot gets killed, it isn't unreasonable for someone to jump to the explanation that obviously he was killed by one of the Antifa agitators who were there. Denver police said that this shooting is now being investigated as a homicide. Updates will be posted as information comes available. Then at 7:21 p.m., Denver police went out of their way to post on Twitter, update, further investigation has determined the subject is a private security guard with no affiliation with Antifa. Additional information will be released as it becomes available.
Not true.
That seems like it's the fastest investigation of all time.
Yep. I mean,
is it not?
He had a tattoo of a space invader. By the way, if you know anything about Antifa, anything about these fascist little dirtbags, on his wrist when he was being arrested. It was right there, and you're telling me the guy's not affiliated with the anti. It took us 5 minutes to go through his Facebook profile. To figure out he was
and we have
it took
15
minutes.
different pictures.
It took
we have
5
15
minutes.
different screen grabs.
I mean, we went through his Instagram, his Twitter page, his Reddit handle. We went through all of it. It took us 15 minutes to figure out he was Antifa.
Yep. And again,
yeah.
So you have a news agency that supposedly organized the communist soup drive, the counter protest to a muster, then you have them hire an unlicensed security, an unauthorized concealed carry individual to come into so they can infiltrate the muster, act like he's protecting for 9 News. They come in, we allow them in, but they bring an agitator with them, with the Black Guns Matter individual. Again, they were always together when he came up and started agitating. He had his assassin there with him every single time because he knew exactly what they were going to do. All their Reddit feeds, all their Facebook, all their little things that they're on that we're actually infiltrated as well. They said they were going to get one of us. And guess what? So to me, that tells me 9 News allowed an assassination of another American.
No,
That's exactly what
9
it was.
News. No. 9 News is a shill for the Antifa communist group. They are.
They are.
I mean, they literally are Antifa. 9 News, as far as I'm concerned, if I just put all the things together, and there's more information coming out about it. But Kyle Clark, that shitbag, he's an absolute shitbag, right? He is as close to being Antifa as you can possibly get.
Yeah, he's
the first one that came out. They said they protect him. He's one of us.
Yeah, he's on all their feeds. He's a part of their whole entire organization. and again, who are we really fighting? What's the rule? I mean,
Head of the snake.
It's
So before we get any
rabbit hole's
further,
deep.
I want to make sure that we have a lot of people who listen who might not know what it is. What does it mean when you say that you had a muster? What exactly is a muster? Just
Again,
for people who don't know.
So again, I go back to, I mean, there's a different definition of it, but to me, in my mind, like when I was in the military, we would have a muster. It was just a, hey, everybody, let's go down to the chow hall, let's go down on the field, let's have a muster. It's a get together. It's just a gathering. And that's all it is. Just here we can talk, we can just hang out. Again, it's just a like-minded people, to just have fun. And that's what it was. To me, a rally is more, again, a Back the Blue rally, a pro-Trump rally, a Bernie rally. That's different. To me, it was a muster of patriots to come together and just being able to say, hey, we're not going to be silenced. We're patriotic. This is our country. We're going to take it back. Because it is. We don't have control of our country no more. The Marxists, communists, socialists have control of our country. Look at the media. 9 News is a prime example of their control. Social media, Facebook deleted me off of there.
Yeah, that's something else to talk about.
For nothing. I literally, the shooting happened within 5 minutes. My account was deleted. My wife's account was deleted. A couple of my other friends' accounts were deleted. Again, this is a communist, socialist, Marxist control system. We do not have control of our country. The only reason why we are where we are right now, still a little bit free, is because we have a leader as a president, and we need to maintain him as a leader, maintain him as a president, because we don't need these freaking politicians. We need leaders to start coming out and defending and protecting us.
So usually
we are
ahead,
actually executing a lawsuit against Facebook. So that actually started this morning. Tig didn't do anything wrong, didn't say anything wrong. While he was at the rally, we recorded all of his what he said at the rally, which was being live broadcast. So they said it was a violation of Facebook standards. While you have PSL, this People's Liberation or Socialist Liberation Movement, you have the Communist Party, you have Antifa, you have all these guys saying that they're going to take over, conquer these states. And that's all Tig said is, it literally was, hey, look, we're patriots. This is our country. We've made sacrifices for 250 years, right? You're not going to come take this from us. This is our country. That's it. And Facebook, what? It was within 5 minutes, literally.
Yeah, it was fast.
Within 5 minutes,
no warning, no
his
nothing.
Facebook page was gone.
They wouldn't even allow me to to counter it. I went in, put my name in, said,
I saw that.
It wouldn't even let me do that. It said you cannot contest this. This is so whatever. Again, I'm not getting another account. Screw Facebook. Again, it's just. I think everybody, in my opinion, should just dump Facebook and tell them to go screw themselves, because that's all you're just giving. You're just giving the communist, socialist, Marxists money so they can do whatever they want to control us.
Well, we'll add to that. Don't do that until we leave Facebook too, because right now we want people to be watching the show. So make the moves, prepare for it, and when we leave, then all of the viewers should also leave, but not before we leave too.
Listen, I spent the morning on the phone with attorneys, right? Just trying to figure out what law we could actually sue Facebook under, and whether or not we could actually create a class action suit against Facebook. And what other alternatives that we have, right? So there's this groundswell that's actually happening right now that Facebook is being run by foreigners. It's being run by people that have, I want to say, foreign interests, right? That 70% of their workforce is overseas. We actually don't know who actually deleted your account. We just know that they deleted your account.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
there's no recourse whatsoever.
And frankly, the reason why they did it, if they're truly a platform, right? If they're truly a platform, what they did is they can't do. Like, it's not legal. Are you drinking a beer?
I am. I've been up since 5 a.m. Getting ready for Supreme Court coverage. So it's like 7 p.m.
I've been up since 5
I think we should have beer too. Where's our beer?
You can have beer. You can get you have some beer wenches in the office. No, not beer wenches. I want to be politically correct. You have beer servants.
Wow.
Beer servants. It can be either gender. Men can be beer wenches too.
That's worse than me saying capital punishment on kids.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
That was bad.
Like,
it happens.
Corporal punishment. Yeah.
It happens.
So I want to get into. Usually on the show we have a policy of not naming the mass killers, not giving them notoriety. But this guy is a scumbag, and the fact that the media is actively trying to cover up what he did and cover up his intentions and his backstory, it needs to get talked about. But before we do that, we have to talk about the man who was killed, because he definitely deserves time, coverage.
Yep.
So Tig, I know you knew him personally.
Nope. I did not know him.
Oh, you didn't know him?
No, I did not know
You
him.
didn't know him?
Nope.
Oh, I thought you did. So his name was Lee, and we have a video. We have if you guys didn't know him, I thought you knew him at least a little bit.
Well, I met him at the muster. So I shook his hand and met him at the muster before we even left to come out. Right, he's a pretty friendly guy. He was there with his son and
it's his son and like 2 other people,
Yeah.
I believe.
But I think everybody met everybody, so everybody was kind of in that.
Yeah. So we know that he was a hat maker. So this is a video that's been making the rounds of him a couple years ago talking about his passion for making cowboy hats.
Our wench just brought us beer. Somebody
Nice.
heard
There
it.
you go.
Of course, it's dry dock. It's a lager just for you.
So I think it would be a mistake to not at least give a little airtime to who this man was, what he stood for, what he was passionate about. So this is a video that's been making the rounds. This is Lee talking about how he loves making hats. Let's go ahead and play a little bit of cut 3.
We're keeping the West alive, one hat at a time. The cowboy hat is the history of the West. It has evolved from different styles and shapes. A lot of people think of Roy Rogers, but everybody knows him for his style of hat. You know, he wore that silver belly. It can be called the silver screen, whatnot. But people know him by his hat because if you come from Nevada, you might go with a more of a flat top. If you come from Montana, you might go with a little taller crease. Texas usually has more of a traditional cattleman style, but you know, even in Colorado, the cattleman style is still probably the most popular. A hatter is an artist that takes a raw body beaver or rabbit or a blend and pulls it over a wood block, and to put a fine finish on it, trim it out, and hand make it to the customer specifications. I love being an artist, and
So I just want to play a little bit of it because the media is claiming that he was a white supremacist, which anytime there's a conservative who's ever put in a bad situation whatsoever, that's the first thing that comes out. You'd never know that there are this many white supremacists. Apparently there's a white supremacist under every rock in this country. But I wanted to give Lee Keltner a little bit of time before we start talking about the scumbag who took his life. He seems like a good guy.
It was scumbags. We actually have the agitator too. I think. Do you have the picture of the agitator, Max, or do I need to send that over?
So I have the video of the guy with graphic language saying "mace me, mace me," and then we have a couple videos showing the actual shooting.
Yeah, so I'm going to send you
guess,
over a picture of the agitator so you have that as well.
Okay. Well, no, just send it to Josh. Send it directly to Josh. So let's go ahead and just call this man out. Go ahead and put up image 1. This is Matthew Robert Dolph. I don't even care if I mispronounce his name. Matthew Robert Dolph. He is allegedly a security guard, private security, but he's not licensed. He's a murderer. He's now being held on suspicion of first-degree murder. Let's go ahead and put up image 3. This is immediately after he shot Lee. Does that look like a security guard? Do security guards dress like that? No, it looks like Antifa.
No, it is Antifa.
That's just my take on it. Security guards don't usually wear freaky-looking bandanas over their face, but that is him immediately after murdering someone, unapologetically. So this is where we're going to have to, again, ask, if you haven't already, hit the share button. We've got Tig, we've got Joe. We're going to go through the videos, and as soon as we put this on the screen, Facebook's going to say that it's graphic content. Actually, as soon as we brought Tig on, this probably became graphic content.
Pretty much.
For being completely honest, I'm sure that they have
I'm gonna
facial
tell you right
recognition
now,
on him.
the amount of the amount of this lawsuit is going to create, the amount of stir this lawsuit is going to create, and obviously I haven't even given Tig all the information on it yet. It's gonna create just a firestorm, right? Because Facebook again is going to be on the hook for being an Antifa communist organization, because that's really what they are. If you actually suppress people who are American and you prop up communist ideology, you in fact are working for the communists. You are in fact working for Antifa, the organization, not the idea. It's not an idea. It's an organization.
Yeah. I mean, there's an argument to be made that it's material support for terrorism. When
Right.
you give them a platform and anyone who opposes them, you don't. There's an argument to be made that it is illegal campaign contributions by giving leftist organizations a bigger platform than right-leaning organizations. Brian's asking in the comment section, does Denver have a death penalty? Colorado does have a death penalty, but Jared Polis, I believe, has suspended it. So it's possible for someone to be given a death penalty sentence, but I don't think in Colorado Jared Polis is allowing anyone to be put to death. He's just refusing to let it happen. So everyone, hit that share button if you haven't already. We're going to play the video now. I want to go in order. This is the full altercation leading up to the shooting. And again, I'm going to say viewer discretion advised. Mr. Producer, if you have a graphic to put up, I don't know if you do. Viewer discretion definitely advised. Salty language, foul language, and yes, someone is about to get shot on camera. So very graphic. Do not watch this if you don't want to see what's going on. But it's important to cover it so we know what happened. So, Mr. Producer, let's go ahead and play cut 1. This is the full context.
Show me that. Show me, motherfucker. Show me that, nigga. Don't fucking touch me. Touch me one more time, you're gonna get it. Next person to fucking touch me. Mace me. Fucking mace me, bud. Walk up to me and
You're going to see it in a second on the right of the screen.
Mace me, motherfucker. I got the right to my ground. Fucking mace me. Go ahead and fucking mace me. Go fucking ahead and mace me, nigga. Fuck around and find out. Don't touch me, old man. Don't fucking touch me, old man. Don't fucking touch me, man. Don't fucking touch me. Fuck around and find out. Fuck around and find out. Fucking tough guy. You got a nice slip of time. So fucking
Here it comes.
tough. Fuck around.
So we can't see anything there. That's not the video that shows what actually happened. But that's the video that shows the lead up.
That's the agitator, and we have his name. Should we put his name out there? Can we put his name out there?
We're trying to verify.
Unless it's been named by law enforcement, I wouldn't put out there.
I'm going to tell you what, I don't care about law enforcement. The moment I know it's 100% him, I am going to put his name out there. I'm going to tell you
Not
where
here,
he
though.
works.
We're not going to put it out here.
Well, no,
Not here.
it's not verified yet. But I do have his name, I do have his home address, and I know exactly where this individual works. And so once I verify it's actually him, you better believe I'm going to do it. The fact that he tried to attack
Not on
five
this
other,
show.
No,
Not on this show.
The fact that he tried to attack
Someone else's
5 other
channel.
people, and again
Jimmy's
tried to
channel.
be the agitator, and again he literally got somebody killed.
Yeah,
He got
100%.
somebody killed.
100%.
He did. So
And he was
I wanted to
working
play
with
that
him.
because
But look,
Yeah.
can I want to say
Go
this,
ahead.
right?
Go ahead,
So, I took my parents. So my parents went to this muster, right? And if everybody knows, my dad is black, my mom is white, right? And I actually asked them if they would actually call in. But what was interesting is that this agitator that was on the deal, I don't know if we can put a still up. I actually sent it to you. If you could just put his picture up. That agitator was standing with the producer and was standing with the shooter, with the murderer, right? They were standing to the left as you were coming out of the Civic Center Park. They were standing together on the left having a conversation, right? They were talking together, and they would get close to each other and they would whisper. And I actually said something to one of the guys. I said, hey, look, something's going on over there, right? And we should keep an eye on it. And as soon as actually people started going to the gate and leaving, the agitator walked up, started leaning up against the gate. Now, we're trying to collect more footage on our side, too, to provide it to the Denver police. But he walked up. So they were working together. This agitator was working with the Denver 9 News, right? And when he walked up, as my dad is walking out, he actually says, I'm going to beat your ass. He said it to my dad, I'm going to beat you. And my dad is 6'4", really big dude, right? And he 14 years in the U.S. Army, right? He's not he is retired, but he's a big dude.
The fight
right?
never ends.
Fight never ends. So he actually starts laughing at this guy. He starts laughing at him, right? And this guy is threatening everyone as they walk out, threatening them, right? Now keep in mind, he started the narrative. This is not a made-up narrative. This is the truth. They were with 9 News. They were with this shooter, right? This Antifa agitator was with 9 News. So 9 News is complicit in the behavior. They're creating it. They're creating this problem so they can murder someone in cold blood. And that's what they did. They murdered someone.
Yeah.
But they were with the producer. There was no cameraman around. It was the producer that was standing there, and it was the shooter, and it was the agitator. They walked and followed the Patriots. The Patriots didn't come to them. They didn't walk around to Antifa, right? Lee didn't make any sort of anything. He was just there, and the guy's literally attacking people. That's the reality.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have a second video. It's actually not a video. So there was a Getty photographer who was taking pictures of that altercation, and the Getty photographer apparently had their shutter speed on very fast, and they were just taking a bunch of pictures. So what someone, not me, I found it online. What someone did is they took up all of these Getty photographs, and they basically put them together like an old-timey Mickey Mouse cartoon, like a flip book cartoon. So you can see it animated, picture after picture after picture. So it's not a perfect video. And there are 2 frames missing, which would be showing when the killer unholstered his gun. Very interesting that those were not included on Getty's website. So I want to play this. Again, viewer discretion advised. Again, if you haven't already hit share and Facebook hasn't already taken us down for being graphic, hit that share button now.
They're not taking us down.
I'll give you 5 seconds to hit it before we play this, because this will absolutely get us not taken down, but listed as graphic so people can't share it. So we're gonna play it. If you hit share if you haven't. All right, Mr. Producer, let's go ahead and play the next cut 2. So this is what happened. So let me talk about what I see in this. Is it going to loop, Mr. Producer? Yeah, it does. Okay. So I see the killer reaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take it off the screen and just real quick say what we just saw. What I saw is I saw the killer reaching over. It looked like to grab the mace.
Yep.
I saw Lee smack him with his left hand while stepping back.
Yep.
Immediately after that, the killer drew his pistol, which that pistol, listen, a lot of times we make fun of Antifa as soy boys, but his grip showed he had training. The pistol had what looked like a red dot sight on it. So this wasn't someone who just went to Cabela's and bought a Taurus or something, right? This is someone who actually looked like they had training. So after Lee, he didn't.
So he might have had some gun training, but he doesn't have no training.
Yeah. Well, no. It just the grip alone shows that he at least at some point someone taught him how to handle a gun.
Yep.
This isn't someone who just went to the store, bought it, and was out holding it sideways, right? You see that Lee, after the shooter reached to grab for Lee's mace, Lee seems to have smacked him in the face with his left hand, took a step back. In the previous video, you can hear him racking the slide of his pistol. And then as Lee is going to shoot the mace at him, apparently, I would assume after seeing he's drawing his pistol,
right,
the guy shot him.
Yeah.
So what did you two see? And then we'll play it again. So it's a little choppy.
I don't think he was racking his pistol. I don't think that's the sound we heard. I think that was the asp collapsing, and he was finishing collapsing the apps just before the gunshot. Because I listened to it over and over again. That's what I thought too. But you can hear him because he smacks the apps on the ground to close because it's a collapsible one. And I think he was finishing it up when you heard that. Because I don't think he would have had time to actually, because it was so quick. But maybe I'm wrong. But that's what I think would happen. Yeah. But again, he was definitely in retreat. And what I'm talking about with training, if he's security and Pinkerton hired this guy, he was the weakest individual. He's still a soy boy because, for one, he uses that gun for self-defense and not self-defense. He used that to murder somebody because somebody who actually knows training and is trained, especially in security, you go there to de-escalate, not escalate. And he was straight. When you go up there and try to grab somebody, a weapon, you're escalating the situation when you didn't have to escalate. He was already being escalated over there by the Black Guns Matter individual.
But they're together, number one. Number two, you have a duty to retreat. You have a duty to retreat. You have a duty when you actually, no matter what, lethal force is the last option, not the first option.
Soy Boys used
Right?
the first option.
And he literally had a duty to retreat. He took a step back. So the shooter, if you notice, when he got slapped, he stepped back, right? So did Lee with the mace. He stepped back. At that point, they're far enough away from each other, right, that he could have retreated. He chose not to retreat. He chose to pull his weapon and fire it. And by the way, not just fire it, not take a shot and shoot him in the chest, but to take a headshot, right?
Yeah.
He shot him in the head.
And again, I agree with you, Tig, that he obviously didn't have security training.
No.
I just think that he at some point he took a handgun class, because you don't just pick up a handgun for the first time and just magically get that grip. That's someone taught him how to do that.
But I'm just wondering, because I was going to bring up the Joe, and I'm going to say it right now. I'm just wondering if actually we can go after him as well for because if he'd have missed, he could have killed one of us down the road.
100%.
Everybody
We were right
around
behind him. We were right behind him.
Everybody around there should be able to freaking sue him for. I mean, it's for I don't know whatever legal recourses. Because
we had you on the show. We had you on the show talking about the guy in Georgia when the cop fired at the suspect. They got him on attempted murder or at least attempted assault on everyone who was downrange from where he fired.
So,
so if it was an unlawful shoot,
I'm on board. I'm gonna and I think they arrested the Black Guns Matter individual as well. Afterwards, there's pictures of him being arrested and taken down. So either he went after somebody else after that incident, or it's because of that incident. So I'm guessing he probably went and attacked somebody else, and they called the cops on him. Because again, this dude wanted nothing but to fight.
So before we play the video, Mr. Producer, can you put up the screen for the Colorado law? I just want to read it off so everyone understands what Colorado law is, as it relates to self-defense use. So this is Colorado Revised Statute, Title 18, Article 1, Part 7, 18.1704, use of physical force in defense of a person. And it says, except as provided in subsections 2 and 3 of this section, a person is justified in using force upon another person in order to defend himself or a third person from what he reasonably believes to be the use or imminent use of unlawful physical force by the other person. And he may use a degree of force which he reasonably believes to be necessary for that purpose. So that's an important thing. When we talk about self-defense, it has to be equitable. It has to be reciprocal. If someone slaps you, you can't shoot them, right? If someone uses non-lethals like bear spray or mace, you can't shoot them. It has to be reciprocal, equitable use of force in response. So right there, he doesn't have a self-defense claim at all. But when we get to 2, it says deadly force may be used only if a person reasonably believes a lesser degree of force is inadequate, and Section A, the actor has reasonable ground to believe and does believe that he or another person is in imminent danger of being killed or receiving great bodily harm. So the problem with this guy mounting a self-defense claim, we can go ahead and take that down. The problem with his self-defense claim is, as you both said, they were taking steps back. There were police 15, 20 yards away.
Yep.
No one can claim that in that instant he feared for his life. You can't make the claim.
Nope.
So right there, it's just a completely bogus claim. He murdered this guy. And he wasn't a licensed security guard. He murdered someone.
No, he did not murder them. Channel 9 News was complicit in murdering them. They murdered him, right?
Yep. That's
they did. This is not just an individual act. This is a collective act by a bunch of Antifa dirtbags. That's what this is. And by the way, we already knew that the media was a bunch of dirtbags. We already knew that they were on Antifa's side. We already knew that they were watching buildings burning behind them while they're saying, oh, it's mostly peaceful protest. Yeah. We already know that they're full of crap, right? We already know that. We already know that they destroy everything they come into contact with. But now this is that kind of burning bush. This is the smoke from the barrel. This is, I mean, literally, it just points directly to the fact that they're nothing but Antifa, anti-Americans.
Yeah, and it's, they're trying to label me as the aggressor and as the attacker, because I go out there and, I stand watching the neighborhood in Colorado Springs, and, at that representative's house up in Denver, in Aurora, again, in Colorado Springs, in downtown Denver. We have not approached them one time. Not once have we approached them, but they come at us every single time. They come. They want to make sure that they're going to kill us. They're going to kill my dog. They're going to kill the other guy's dog. They're going to rape the woman that's there with us. That's from their mouths. Again, we don't approach them, but they will go a block out of their way. They will go up 7-story parking garage to antagonize and try to get aggression out of us. Again, I'm not there to do that. But if you come at me like you're going to do something, you better believe I'm coming back.
So we just had a caller, Christine, I think it's Kristen, who called in and wanted us to clarify the difference between militias and white supremacists. I think that
we're not a part of
we
either.
see it conflated. I know, but we see that word gets conflated. I know that you guys don't consider yourself part of a militia, but even if someone is part of a militia, it doesn't make them a white supremacist, because as we've covered on the show many times, federal law says that any able-bodied adult male between the ages of 17 and 45 is actually part of what's called the unregulated militia. Right. And they're expected, upon being called upon by the federal government or the states, to show up for militia service with a rifle that's readily and able to be used for militia service, to be trained in that rifle. And so a militia itself, we've seen this conflation that militias are automatically white supremacists. White supremacy has a meaning. White supremacy is that whites are the master race. This is Nazi crap, right?
Yeah. So the easiest way to do it: research KKK, and you have your white supremacy. I'm not going to do the research for you, but that's what it is. It's everybody says it's only whites, it's only this, it's only that. It's the same thing. Black Panthers, they're black supremacists, I guess, if you want to, because NFAC, same thing. They're supremacists because they think only the black race. Militias, normally they don't. A lot of them, they don't agree with the government. Same Antifa and the militias, they got some of the same ideology, but again, a lot of the militiamen, they just want to be there to defend and protect their country as well. They're training for the worst case scenario. Again, but the white supremacists, that's what they are. They believe just the white race should survive. They believe that no other nationality should be in America. That's whites. That's what they believe. Militias, you have blacks, you have Latinos, you have every race inside militias. Just like the Proud Boys, they want to try to portray the Proud Boys as white supremacists.
They're
run by a black individual.
Hispanic,
The guy who came out to our rally, he was Hispanic, and again, they were calling him a white supremacist.
Hey, but hold on. Hey, but here's the other thing. We had more multinational people inside of our deal. Like we had Asians, we had blacks, Hispanics. I mean, it was actually pretty awesome.
Yep.
But if you looked across the fence at the Antifa on the fence, I didn't see one black person in that whole deal. The only one I saw was the one that was in this agitator.
Yep.
That was it. And it's like they picked them out, but everyone else was stark white.
Kristen did just call back in, so I think we have her on the line, Mr. Producer. Kristen, can you hear us?
Yeah.
I can. Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much. Yeah, I'm a sort of what I would call a recovering Democrat. I just changed party affiliation a few months ago, just starting to see what was going on, and it's been really interesting because, and I'm from Portland originally. I'm not there right now. I'm a few hours away, but I've lost so many friends, and my friends are all calling me a white supremacist, and for even just mentioning like, hey, I don't think that the Proud Boys were actually white supremacists, and there's a lot of, I think it is the Marxist ideology and sort of like the brainwashing that takes place with, a lot of these movements and what's it called, critical race theory and stuff, where it isn't racial sensitivity, it's getting all of us to think that everybody else is. I don't understand it, but so I just kind of wanted to have some understanding of like people aren't used to different groups, and basically any group that goes like into downtown Portland back to blue, it's like our governor and the mayor like calling them white supremacists. It's completely crazy. So anyway, thank you. I liked what you guys had to say about clarifying that so far.
Hey,
and
hey, is it Christy?
Kristen.
I'm going to tell you something, and I think you hold on to this. And I say it all the time. Courage is more infectious than fear. So having the ability to do what you just did and switching parties, and I don't even know if that is even necessary, although walking away from the Democratic Party probably is a good idea because they're filled with rapists.
Probably feels pretty good, too.
Yeah, it probably does feel pretty good.
Oh yeah.
But I do want to encourage you with one thing. Is that there's a lot of people that feel the way that you do. That we have these fringes, this 10% on the left and 10% on the or 1% on the right. I don't believe that there's a lot of white supremacists in this country, but they've marginalized us in the middle, right? And so you're one of the marginalized, and they want to try and shame you into, just falling in line and getting into this brainwash mentality. So I'm just going to encourage you to just continue to have that courage and continue to be a voice for a reason, right? Because when it comes down to it, that's the only thing that will save our country. That's the only thing that will give us back some sensibility and constitutional integrity to what we have in this country. You feel, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing, and like you're saying, now they're trying to label you as something. And you're like, what are you talking about? I mean, it's the same with me. They want to label me as a white supremacist 3% militia leader, and I'm like, I was never a part of any group ever.
None of the above.
No,
Right.
except for my militia is the United States Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're part of the unorganized militia.
All
as
right,
well.
and let this sink in. Tig is an American hero. He actually disobeyed orders and walked into a firefight knowing he could lose his life to save other people. He didn't have to do any of that. He would have literally been able to say, hey, look, I was told to stand down. He would have had a reason not to. Yet he walked into a firefight in order to save people's lives. I mean, I want that to sink in. I also want it to sink in that as this American hero, someone that actually is just very courageous, right? Facebook came out and said, we're not going to give you a voice. I know you served your country, but we're not going to give you a voice. I mean, that is just the example of how they treat true patriots, true people that love their country in this country.
Any final words, Kristen? And again, thank you so much for your call. What do you want to end with?
Thank you. It's heartbreaking the way that people are, it's like you say, American heroes are being treated. And I just want to say thank you all for standing up and speaking up and allowing this forum so that we can, share what's really going on. And I'm so sorry for the loss of that gentleman's life. And thank you all for all you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, God bless you.
Well, thank you so much for your call. I think she brings up a really interesting point where I have two big problems with the basically throwing out white supremacy, throwing out Nazis. Those words have meaning. And when you just call everyone a white supremacist, everyone a Nazi, you belittle what it means to be a white supremacist. Like, there are white supremacists out there. A lot of them are in prison already, but they exist. There are Nazis in this country. And when you call someone simply because they vote Republican, this horrible name, right? It belittles what the insult's supposed to mean, right? White supremacy, calling someone that should be a death sentence. Not for them to be killed, but it should end their public persona if they are in public life. But when you are adding it to everyone you disagree with, it's just ridiculous. And I think that part of the reason that they're doing that is because they've seen so many of their isms and their ism smears against Trump, this sexism, right, xenophobic, racism, right, all those icks and isms. They've seen them fail. Right. Remember when Mitt Romney, they were able to tank him because he put his dog on the roof of a car, right, and he had a binder full of women. Like, they've seen with Trump, none of that sticks. So
Right.
it's understandable that in trying to label him and demonize him, that they just keep going harder and harder down the spectrum to find even crazier names to describe him. They're out of names. Once you start calling someone a white supremacist, a Nazi, there's really not a whole lot worse that you can call someone.
No, but now, like you said, they're running out of names. Now we're bootlickers.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Again, it's a name. I really don't care. I mean, they've been hating on me since I got their Majesty rejected from the White House. So I'm kind of used to it. I mean, they've been calling me a racist pretty much since then. Since the book came out, I've been called everything. But from the left, just because we came out and we didn't get into the politics. Politics drug us through everything.
Yeah.
We told the truth what happened on the ground that night, and that's all we knew. That's all I cared about. I don't care what the politicians were doing that night. I didn't call the phone and said, "Hey, babe, what's President Obama doing right now?" I didn't
Oh,
care.
he's sleeping? Okay, good.
Yeah, I just cared about what happened that night, and all these liberals. I'm not watching that book. It's all fake. It has nothing to do with politics. Neither does the movie. But they will make everything about politics. We purposely left politics out because it dishonors everyone that died there. It dishonors all of us of what we did that night. So we made sure politics was not involved in the book or the movie. But again, the left, they just want to drag everything, make everything political, make it, again, I did the book. I was a racist. I was a whatever. I mean, but that's all they do. They just call you names. They want to spread lies, because lies, what does that do? Spreads fear. What does fear do? Spreads hate. That's all they want, and that's all they do.
Yeah, I mean, everything that is good, they've turned to bad. Everything that's bad, they've turned to good. I mean, they walk around. They're the freaks of our society, right? These are the people that must not have come out of their basement ever. And it's no wonder they're actually afraid of COVID, right? They haven't been exposed to sunlight, so they're probably the ones that are most likely to not have good vitamin D, good vitamin C.
If I'm going to not play devil's advocate, but just trying to understand how this logic works, I can understand why they would go to racism, at least at the minimum, right? If you truly believe, and you mentioned that it's all white kids in Antifa allegedly fighting for black lives, which is the ultimate form of patronizing I've ever heard, but amazing the left doesn't call that out. They truly believe that their cause is just, which is why I think you've seen so many of these scumbags starting to actually open fire. They think that it's okay. It went all the way back to California. Yvette Falarca, if you remember her, she was in charge of this organization by any means necessary, BAM, and she went to court for punching people, I think at Berkeley, and her argument in court was that it shouldn't be assault because it shouldn't be a crime to punch a fascist. We've seen that transform all the way to now when you have these events going on where patriots are there, Antifa comes to try and disrupt. They truly believe it's okay to shoot them because it's not a crime to punch or shoot a fascist. But if they truly believe that they are doing what they're doing in support of black lives, then in a twisted way, I can understand why they'd assume anyone who is against them would be a racist, because if they're supporting black lives and you oppose them, obviously you oppose black lives. But it's such a twisted argument.
There is no Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is not even an organization. It's not an organization. It is just a backdrop. It is a thing that they put, it's a prop that they put up in front of it, and it's almost like a shield, and that they run around with that shield, right? So they can wreak havoc, so they can bring in their communist and Marxist ideology. It's not really, they don't care about black people. Nope. They don't care about black people.
Chicago, Detroit.
I mean, if you care about black people, then care about black people, right? But you don't care about black people. But
have they done? I don't know. Maybe you can Google it. Have they done any good in any major community? One thing.
No.
Have they done one thing?
BLM's brought in billions of dollars, and you don't see them running like a garbage cleanup. You don't see them painting buildings, repairing buildings. I mean, if they took that $1 billion and just repaired a couple of really bad neighborhoods in these major cities, they would have a much bigger impact than what they've been having now. But no, you don't actually see them doing any of these garbage cleanups or anything like that.
Did you see them going out there and protesting when they shot the 8-year-old girl in the backseat of a car?
No.
No. Why? Because it was one of the riders, looters, who freaking killed the kid in the back of the car. Yeah. You didn't hear a thing about it. But the parents are like, what the hell? They rode up to a barrier, tried to turn around, and they opened fire on the car.
So I'm gonna
or young legend, legend. What's his last name? I think Talaferro. The boy that they named Operation Legend after. He was a young boy killed in his bedroom by a stray bullet that went through the wall. You don't see them protesting for him. No, it's shameful.
It is. It's our country, where it's going down. Law enforcement isn't. They're involved with it too. I mean, they're arresting people for defending and for trying to protect themselves. I mean, some people do take it to maybe to the extreme, but what was it? The one, I think the couple in Wisconsin, the liberals. They came up saying the protesters had no guns. There's pictures of them with guns.
Oh, in St. Louis, yeah.
There's video, and you can hear them saying they're gonna get them. They're gonna come for them. I'm gonna defend myself too, but they should not have been arrested. They should not have been charged. The guy, there's another one where they showed up at his house. He has a shotgun inside of his house. They said it's brandishing and a threat to the people attacking his house. and they arrested him. You had an individual in California who drove through the protesters nice and slow, didn't do anything. The protesters chased them down 3 blocks, blocked them in. He backs out trying to get out of there, and then he finally gets out after they get out of their vehicle, start attacking him inside of his car. He gets away, and next thing you know, the police are arresting him in California. Again, it's asinine. It's ass backwards. Why are you arresting him? I could see maybe pulling over him and questioning what was going on. I mean, the dude was probably scared to death, and, you know, by himself being chased, he just wants to get home.
Yeah.
You know, it's ass backwards, man. It is every single one of those people blocking that cause that should have been arrested. I think all the individuals actually involved in the blocking technique that they boxed the guy and attacked him, I think they got arrested. But again, why would that dude even be in handcuffed, the guy trying to get away?
Well, I'm going to tell you that, and we've talked about this, you know, a bunch of times, and I've heard the conversation come up quite a bit, that they don't play by rules. The Patriots in this country are going to stop playing by rules.
And they're not going to like it.
If you can't enforce the rules, okay. You know, I saw a meme that came over. I'll see if I can send it over to you. This was on a page that that we were on. That was an Antifa page. Craziness.
Yeah. Yep.
So as you get that, we do have a video. As you send that over to Mr. Producer, we do have a video that actually one of our viewers just sent over to us, and it's of Antifa celebrating the fact that Lee was killed over the weekend in Denver. So, Mr. Producer, I believe we have that clip. Let's go ahead and play it.
Oh, that was the agitator.
The agitator, yeah.
Fuck yeah! Right in the fucking dome!
Yeah, that
Right
was the
in
agitator.
the effing dome. The agitator.
Yeah, that was the
That was the
agitator.
agitator.
Yeah, that was the agitator.
Celebrating that a guy got shot in the head. His back was to that whole altercation. He didn't see what happened. He just saw that someone was just shot and assumed that obviously that man, a white supremacist, was killed or some BS like that.
Hey, there's the traffic guys. Yeah. This is...
So let's play that again. Let's start from the beginning. Start from the beginning and listen. You'll hear him say right in the effing dome, except he doesn't say effing. So, Mr. Producer, let's play that one more time, and we'll cut it after that. Okay, here we go.
One less white fucking supremacist! Fuck yeah! Right in the fucking dome!
Let's cut it.
Fuck yeah!
One less effing white supremacist. F yeah, right in the effing dome.
Oh, that's so.
Incredible. So we do have this scumbag, Matthew Robert Dolph. Let's go ahead and put his picture up on the screen again, Mr. Producer. Image 1. This is.
Do we have the
scumbag.
producer? Do we have the producer that was with him too? Do we have that picture? Did they
I don't have
release
that
his-
picture.
They didn't release his information?
I don't think
right.
they released him. There were a couple of reporters that people were talking about. I think one of them's name was Zach. There were a couple of reporters and 9 News, but I haven't seen it completely released who he was with. But that's the scumbag who killed Lee. So, as we talked about, Mr. Producer, put up image number 2 again.
Send this to me.
Put up image number 2 again. This is what Denver police said. Fastest investigation in the history of investigations. Further investigation has determined the suspect is a private security guard with no affiliation with Antifa. Additional information will be released as it becomes available. So all the fact checkers now, all the BS fact checkers, with which, Tig, I know you hate them just as much as we do. They're all saying, well, oh, Denver police said that, so that means if you say it's the opposite, you're lying, take you down off of Facebook. Denver police did not have the time to do any investigation other than asking him, are you with Antifa? And of course he would say no. I mean, according to Joe Biden, Antifa is not a group, it's an idea, so no one can technically be with Antifa. You can't really be affiliated with an idea. I mean, we're talking about V for Vendetta kind of philosophy at that point. But there's no possible way they could have actually done that investigation.
No, they didn't do the investigation at all, right? So, I sent something to you, Josh. I sent 2. So I actually was on a Antifa seizure of red states. It's a Facebook page,
Yeah.
You want to put that up, Josh? The first one, please. So they were talking inside of this thread on Facebook, right? This is a Facebook page, right? It says, well, we might as well admit that we are allowed to do whatever we want at a protest. This is right after they were talking about Lee being killed, right? Now, put up the second one so you can see the rest of that deal. So you say Antifa was committing violence at a protest. Sounds like you're crazy. I didn't see any crime, and I was there. We arrested no Antifa. If this doesn't show you, I mean, I don't even know. If this doesn't show you.
What's a meme?
It does, but I mean, look, the fact that this guy who is an Antifa is saying they can do whatever they want. I can go to any protest, do whatever I want. The police aren't going to arrest me, right?
Well, they feel they're untouchable.
It's time they get touched. It's time they get touched.
And we mean in a consensual way. Facebook, please don't ban us.
Is that Joe Biden touch? Or?
Smell, man.
No, purely consensual. You guys know that on Twitter they're forcing people to take down videos of Joe Biden sniffing and touching kids?
Why?
Because it violates their terms of service.
He did it, though.
But they'll allow
He's allowed to do it.
But I bet you can post a video of Cuties, post pictures of that TV show Cuties. It's just fine.
That's art. That's art. So before we end the show, I did pull a bunch of, and this I didn't find this. Other people found it. Tig, it seems that while they were going after your Facebook yesterday, Facebook forgot to go and shut down Matthew Robert Dolliff's Facebook. Because in the time that they were taking you down, other people were scraping his Facebook and screenshotting as much as they could.
Everything on that page. All the way back to 2013.
Yeah. I think actually I have something in here from 2012. So let's just go through this real quick. Mr. Producer, put up image number 4. This is Dolliff at an Occupy Wall Street protest. Now that predates Antifa. I mean, Antifa is older than that in the European context, but that's a long time ago. Occupy Wall Street.
Right.
That's leftism before they started being anti-Trump. So that's him at Occupy Wall Street. Let's go ahead and put up image 6. This is him at a school funding protest. Again, with the same kind of thing, same kind of Occupy Wall Street kind of vibe to it. Put up image 5. This is him wearing a Bernie t-shirt, which, again, he can support Bernie Sanders all you want, but you can't just say that, oh, well, he's obviously not a leftist, when his social media is full of leftist imagery. He's a Bernie Sanders supporter, right? Not saying that all Bernie Sanders supporters are bad people, but if that's your starting point, you can't say that he's not a leftist at that point. So now we start getting into some of his actual social media stuff. So let's go ahead and put up image 7. This is something that he basically shared, which is a Black Lives Matter line, basically criticizing anyone who says all lives matter. And again, this doesn't mean that he was Antifa. I'm just trying to paint the picture of what his political ideology looked like. And it says, it's from Occupy Democrats. It says, pardon her French, but all this needs to be said. Not a peep from the All Lives Matter crowd right now. And she's holding up a little blackboard that says, what's that line again? All lives matter, then step the F up. And he repeated that. So again, not evidence that he is a criminal just from that, just painting the picture of his actual leftist beliefs. This is where we get into the real crazy stuff. Let's put up image 8. Image 8, FTP. F the police.
Yep.
And it's for a YouTube video. Utah nurse screams as she's cuffed by cop for refusing to draw blood on a patient. Do you guys remember this? This was from a couple years ago.
Yeah, I do.
Cops wanted to draw blood from a patient. She didn't believe that it was constitutional. It was very sketchy. Whether or not you can't just draw blood from someone if you've just arrested them.
Why would they arrest
There's a whole process.
Why did they arrest?
Because she refused their order, even though they didn't have the proper warrant. Yeah.
Well, what did they do to the cops?
I don't remember the story. I just remember
That's horse crap.
The
They
video.
can arrest her because she didn't want to draw blood. Why don't they learn how to draw blood then?
Yeah. Well, no, they need a court order. You can't just take someone's blood.
And this is where we can actually agree, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, there are certain things that happen that we can agree with. I just can't agree with anything Antifa says because, frankly, their entire ideology is to strip away and to take away the fabric of our society.
I think the difference is that you can say, like, Tig, you're absolutely right. What are those cops doing? There's a difference between saying, what did those cops in that situation do, and F the police, which is what he did, which is all police, because these Utah police decided to try and illegally draw blood from someone without a warrant. That's just all I'm trying to say. That he actually is posting F the police on his Facebook page. Now we get into anti-Trump stuff. Let's put up image 9. It's from him back in 2016 in Castle Rock, of all places. Ran into a Trump supporter with a Trump button on their shirt, told them I like their I'm a racist button. They had nothing to say. F Trump. And then someone commented, I'm not voting for either of them. So F Trump. Can't say that he's just a security guard when he's posting F Trump. And here we go again, image 10. Picture of Donald Trump saying, I have very strong skin, very good temperament. And Matthew Robert Dolph says, F this guy. Again, not proof that he's Antifa, just trying to paint the picture of his whole ideology. Image 11. Let's put up image 11. This is from an Occupy Denver post. White House press corps ought to just stay home and make shit up themselves. And he's supporting that. So he's very anti-Trump. He's very pro-Occupy, all of that. And then this is, I think, one of the biggest signs. Let's put up image 13. It might be hard to see this, but image 13, these are all the people that he was following before his account got taken down. And you see AOC, Bill Maher, Bernie Sanders, Rachel Maddow, Stephen Colbert, The Daily Show, 99% stuff, Young Turks, Occupy Washington, D.C., General Strike, which actually had Antifa in their description, Cop Block, Occupy Denver, Occupy Milwaukee, Occupy Miami. This is where you start looking at this like, okay, he's occupying lots of different places at once. That's very interesting. Occupy Beantown, Occupy Clarksville, Michigan, Occupy Richmond, Occupy Together, Occupy Seattle, Occupy London, Occupy LA, Oakland Uprising, Occupy Wall Street. You start seeing all the things that he's following on Twitter. Again, these are just screen grabs. For Denver just to say, oh no, well, we asked him, are you Antifa? And he said no, so that means he's not Antifa. When everything else paints the picture that if he isn't Antifa, he's at least very, very far left.
He had a tattoo on his wrist. He had an Antifa tattoo on his wrist. Do you have that?
Sure. Image 15. There's a Space Invaders. Now, Space Invaders is a beloved video game from, the 70s, 80s? There are plenty of reasons to get a Space Invaders tattoo if you like the game, but it is an image that many people in Antifa have started using. A lot of times these groups, they co-opt other images, kind of like how the Nazis co-opted the swastika, which is actually a Hindi imagery. These radicals often co-opt other things because it looks a lot. It doesn't look that radical seeing a Space Invaders, but they use that as a sign of showing that they are in the club. At least some of them do. So yeah, and then just to round it out, put up image 14, just in case there was any doubt he's a registered Democrat. Just in case there was any doubt. Now, all that does not mean he's Antifa, but it does paint a picture that he is a leftist. He hates Trump. He hates Trump supporters. He thinks you're a racist just for supporting Trump. All of that in the context. I do not know how anyone could possibly come out at 7:21 p.m. that day and say, no, investigation over, he's not Antifa. I just don't see how they could do that.
No.
Yeah, it's a cover because, I mean, again, I think they're afraid of the retaliation that's probably going to be coming anyways.
It is coming.
Yeah, and it's interesting. If they were to go and start a riot,
what happened, but,
if they were to start a riot, if they were to start a riot and businesses were to be burned to the ground and you could prove that they started the riot, they could get charged for starting a riot, right? So when you actually cause something like this to happen, when you're agitating, you're going out there and creating a series of events that leads to someone being killed, there are statutes. I'm not sure about Colorado, but in many states there are statutes that would allow them to be charged criminally because they created the situation that led to someone being killed, especially if it's one of their own employees.
And 9 News did
or
that.
Contractors.
100%.
Yeah.
And so did Kyle Clark. Sue that little prick individually, little weakling. Man, I tell you what, I would probably. I'm a very nonviolent person. I believe I live my faith in everything that I do, but I would catch a charge to beat his tail, just so we're clear. I think Kyle Clark is
with
the
love,
worst,
with respect,
worst human being. All right,
I'd love him. I love him to
give a little bit of that Joe Biden love.
The guy's
some of that sniff sniff.
He's just a terrible human being. There's a bunch of parties liable for the situation. A bunch.
Absolutely.
I don't understand. I'm trying to figure out, why does the media try to paint Antifa in such a good light? Any chance they get, they don't try to denounce. They want to say Trump needs to denounce. Why don't they denounce the rioting and looting and the oppression that Antifa, BLM, and the Denver Communist Party is doing? You're actually supporting a communist party in America. Communist has killed over 100 million people. That's way more than COVID, people. And you're scared of COVID?
Yeah. I think that a lot of it comes back to that Yvette Falarca bit from years ago, which is that it's not a crime to punch a fascist. Antifa, there are people in the media that believe Antifa just stands for anti-fascist, and that anyone they go up against, by virtue of the name, must be a fascist, right? I think that there's an element of that, but I also think that the other element of it is ends justify the means. That there are people in the media who are willing to give Antifa a pass because they support what Antifa is doing.
That's what jihadists do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what jihadists do.
This is an insurgency, and people need to start waking up and realizing what it is. This is an insurgency.
That's exactly
especially if they had the proof of interstate money transfers, interstate travel. It's a crime to cross state lines for the purpose of starting a riot or participating in a riot. That's a federal crime. You can't cross state lines to participate in an organized riot. You can't do it. Just like you can't cross into the United States from from Canada into the United States for the purpose of protesting. Yeah, California might as well be another country. But you can't cross into the United States for the purpose of protesting either. So there's lots of crimes that could not necessarily be against this guy, but all these Antifa type. There's tons of statutes, which really pisses me off because Bill Barr knows this. He's insinuated this. He insinuated that he has the receipts, but they're not charging anyone because it's too close to an election, which is insane to me.
Yeah, I remember when we were leaving the muster. There was an individual sitting there saying, "Well, you guys got guns. Guess what? We got guns too. We can carry too. We're not all of us are legally carrying."
Yeah.
Well, that's what criminals do. Criminals carry illegally.
So again, but they came to our side when we were exiting to make sure we knew that, make sure that threat was there. To me, I assume everybody's carrying, so I treat everybody like they're carrying a gun. So I really don't care if you are or not, but I'm not going to shoot you because you freaking slapped me. Because I'm not a little soy boy. I'm going to defend myself probably 90% of them I wouldn't even have to pull my gun anyways, even if they probably had a gun. But again, I'm not afraid just because you're carrying a gun. Carry a gun. It's your constitutional right to carry a gun. I don't think you have to have a CCW to carry a gun either. I think that's an overreach of power. I think the Constitution says "shall not be infringed." I should be able to have a gun on me anywhere and everywhere I go, plain and simple. And if everybody lived by that law, we'd have less stupidity in this country because everybody would be armed and there would be no more
armed
stupidity.
Society is a polite society.
It is. People are like, "Oh no, it ain't. It's more threatening." Actually, every freaking major mass murder has been in a gun-free zone.
Yeah. So let's end with this question. Obviously, it's a good thing that there wasn't just a shootout after this. And I guess it's good that people showed restraint. It's always good when people get to go home at night. It's always good to show restraint in these situations unless you need to actually use deadly force. Why do you think that this scumbag, Matthew Dolliff, wasn't put down right then and there? Because as you said, there's tons of people in that area who are carrying. If they just watched him execute someone, murder him, why do you think he wasn't shot?
Yeah. So you're gonna answer this in a second, but I'm gonna tell you that that little group, him and his family, broke away from the rest of the group. So he was there. There wasn't a lot of other patriots that were there when this happened. Right? It was a smaller group. Everyone else had moved ahead. So that was a mistake. Number one is that they picked they picked them off.
So if you go back to our Civil War, they found a ton of guns that were filled with multiple rounds in it. A revolution, same thing. Normal people, I'm saying normal people do not want to kill somebody. A lot of times when they fired, when the British, and we were online with the British, 90% of the rounds went over the British head. 90% of the rounds went over the Americans' head. Only 10% actually hit targets. Again, even out of that 90%, less even actually fired the gun. They just kept stuffing bullets because the normal human does not want to kill another human being. And I think that when you're not trained, when you're not in that mindset constantly, or like kind of like how how I am, I don't want to have to shoot somebody, but I think it took people the situation didn't call for a shooting in the first place. People are saying, well, weren't you right next to him? If I was right next to him, he'd be dead. I would have killed him. Plain and simple. I would not have waited for the cops to show up, because to me, he just killed somebody next to me. Whether I knew him or not, in cold blood, I'm going to assume he's a direct threat to me. The way he did not put his gun down, he kept his gun up, pointing at other individuals. How do I know he's not going to shoot me? And the fact, if I would have been there, I would have been with them. He would have been a threat to me and everyone else around me. I would have shot him. And
let's put up image 3, just so people know. Image number 3. If you're in that situation and this is what you see, you have every reason, again, going back to that Colorado statute, you have a reasonable belief that he is about to cause you or someone else serious bodily harm or death. You just watched him shoot someone. There's an argument to be made that seeing that right there, him drawing his pistol after having just shot someone in the head,
unarmed,
you would have a reasonable,
shot somebody
you'd have reason
unarmed.
to actually, you'd have reason to shoot back. So, any final words, you guys, before we wrap this up?
I'll give it to you.
I'm just going to ask everybody to remember this one number, 16 seconds.
Why?
Just remember 16 seconds.
What happens in 16 seconds? All right, 16 seconds.
Everybody's
That's the final word.
It's going to be the number one thing that's Googled on Google today. We're going to have. Yeah.
I've never like told someone give us the last couple words and they literally just give us a couple of words, 16 seconds.
16
but
seconds.
I'm sure people will look it up. I'm sure it's something that we're not supposed to say on Facebook either. Well, that's going to be it for this edition of the Conservative Daily Podcast. Thank you, Tig, for sitting in. Thank you, Joe. You guys were there at the rally, so it was great to get your perspective on it. If you like the show, please make sure that you like and follow our Facebook page. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the audio version of the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podbean, all different places. Make sure you check out the link in the description for our merch. And again, we're on Parler at Conservative Daily, all one word. Follow us. We'll be happy to follow you back. So again, my name is Max McGuire.
And this is Joe Otto.
And this is Tig, 16 seconds.
And and remember that the fight to take back our country clearly isn't over, but the only way we win is if we all stand and fight together.